Boychoir is made up of almost 200 boys between the ages of 8 and 18, and bringing stories to life for boys through tour is one of the reasons that we keep boys, because they have these transformative experiences, the kinds of things that maybe they learn in school, but in a textbook, it makes them fall asleep. But with the Boychoir and traveling, we actually can take them right there to these places in history, and that just really changes their lives. In Terezin Concentration Camp, boys between the ages of 13 and 16 for about 2 years published a magazine in secret. And this was, of course, very dangerous. If the Nazis had discovered this magazine, the boys would have certainly all been transported to Auschwitz. And so this magazine became a way to channel their energy, much in the way that the Boychoir channels the energy of boys into something positive. And if you talk to Mr. Taussig, he was the last boy left in Terezin. I told the boys about these boys in this magazine, and Mr. Taussig, one of the boys said, well, maybe he's still alive. We actually looked him up on the internet and we found him. And 2 boys went with me down to Florida, where he lives, and we interviewed him. And he told us firsthand what it was like to live in Terezin, to publish this magazine, to bury the magazine, to dig it up, to bring it back. And so we decided to invite him to Philadelphia to honor him. When Mr. Taussig arrived, he came in and sat in a circle with the boys. He told them a little bit about himself.
And then when I was 12 and a half years old, my whole family was sent to Terezin. And luckily we survived Terezin because of my father, really. My father made out of an oil can or whatever it was some metal can, and he put it all around it, so it preserved it, and we buried it.
And then I asked him to recite a poem that he wrote for the magazine, and he said, well, I don't really remember it, but it was about the crematorium, because he used to wheelbarrow dead bodies to the crematorium. And I said, well, it's okay that you don't remember it, because they do.
Covering all and glittering strangely, as if to envelop this aged bride. And suddenly, as if in a dream,
the boys welcomed him to Philadelphia. They memorized, staged, if you will, some of the poetries and some of the poems, and we presented them at the Jewish Museum in Philadelphia.
Just wait, I'm gonna tell on you.
You've been scavenging again. You know it's true. Dumplings from the scullery, bread from the bakery. Just wait, I'm gonna tell on you.
He couldn't ever have imagined that all these years later, he'd be in America and being honored by boys that were his age at the time, reciting his poems and the poems and poetry that his friends wrote. So it was very emotional, and he cried, of course. It's very important to him that young people like our boys tell this story and make sure the world knows that these boys lived.